Excellent, excellent.
Well done. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Fong. I'm a director of Kimcell, and today what I want to do is show you what we've done as a business in our infrastructure across Dorset, but also I want to touch on why we are doing it as business owners, and also some of the opportunities that you may not be aware of. So I won't talk too much about Kimcell. If you want to find out about what we do, go to our website, kimcell.com, but that's just a very, very quick introduction. And before I start, I think it's important to say a little bit about us as Dorset businesses. So these are some of the businesses that we work with within Dorset. They provide internet hosting, lease lines, broadband connections, which is what we do as well. But I think it's very, very important that even though we may be competitors within Dorset, that we actually work together as Dorset businesses, because there's a bigger fight to be won out there. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out first before we start. Just to touch on why we are doing this as a Dorset business. This is something I saw recently as part of a presentation, and it's taken from the Dorset Leb Industrial Strategy document. And it says by 2040, Dorset will have a dependency ratio of 1. And what that means is people of working age, the number of those people would be the same as people of pensionable age. And people are living longer. The hospital care and the interventions we have are great. But what that does mean is we'll have less and less people working to provide the revenues, the taxes to support social care, healthcare, and so on. So we need to address this or be mindful of this, because if we don't address this changing dynamics of the numbers of people creating revenue to the number of people needing the care that we need, then we may come across problems in the future. So first of all, I want to talk about what we're doing in West Dorset. We've been a Bournemouth-based business for 20 years now, but we had to leave our business because our location anyway, because the lease was running out. So we still have a presence in Boscombe, a small office where the team works, but also we moved our data centre over to the Dorset Innovation Park. If you don't know where that is, that's near the village of Wool. And if you've been caught speeding in your car, then you might have had to take a little awareness course at Dorset Police Headquarters, which is right next to the Innovation Park. So the many reasons why we moved out there. We've actually taken two of these units, and if you need to expand or looking at a new location for your business, I can tell you that the rents are really, really cheap. One of these units is £500 per month. There's no rates to be paid because it's an enterprise zone, and if you wanted a small office to yourself, then even some of those rooms are about £150 per month. If you think about co-working space, a dedicated desk in Bournemouth, that can be about £350 a month. So if you want to look at some cheaper places to build your business, then I would definitely recommend taking a look at this. So we want to start afresh with our data center. So if you look at the top left, that's a shell of a unit. We put in a mezzanine floor in. Initially, we wanted to put the servers downstairs and have the workspace upstairs, but because of the Disability Discrimination Act, we had to, unless we put a lift in, we had to change what we wanted to do. So on the right-hand side, you can see our server pod. And as a data center, we're not a huge business. We're quite small. And if we fill that server rack up with servers and virtual machines, then actually we'd be very well. If you're wondering why we have a inflatable rabbit outside our data center, then we just do. The reason why we moved out to the Dorset Innovation Centre, not just because of being able to build a data centre from scratch and low rents, was being an innovation park, we knew things were going to happen. Some of the tenants there we wanted to be connected with, and some of the tenants there actually needed a service from us already. So it was ready made for us. But by being in the park, we wanted to be there ready for when good things happen. Along the way, we went to a few Dorset Council events, and I know that Dorset Council, BCB councils in general, get a really bad rap on social media, on the Dorset Bournemouth Echo pages, if you just read the echo readers' comments, you'll understand what I mean. But when I went to these events, talking to these people in person, I really got to understand that these have high ambitions. They are really working for the benefit of the region, of the area, and these are people just like us doing the best. So I was really over the moon that Dorset Council won this funding for their 5G rural connected project, and it just goes to show that as a county, it's not sleepy Dorset anymore. They have real ambition, and they had the credibility and the skills to win this bid. And these are some of the 4 areas that funding is going to be applied to. So agri-tech, so farming, not just land farming, but also sea farming as well. That's one area. The Lulworth estate, they're looking to provide connectivity and better phone coverage to that estate, which I think stretches all the way from Lulworth Castle all the way down to Lulworth Cove, Durdle Door, and so on. For the connected coast part of that project, the RNLI and the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, that there is some innovation, some projects to try and make use of that technology on the coast. And also on the Innovation Park, we are rolling out a 5G testbed, so new companies can come along, test their solutions, develop new products to take advantage of 5G. And that wasn't the only thing that really happened last year. This year, out of the blue, the MOD said they were going to invest a lot of money into building a Defence Innovation Centre right on the park. So that's a huge range of opportunity for businesses out there that you may not be fully aware of. Not only for that innovation centre, there's some money set aside for a makerspace. So just think of a place, nothing's been built yet, but think of a place where there's things like 3D printers, CNC machines, so organisations can work with the military to develop very quick prototypes, proof of concepts, and so on. So it's a really exciting place to be at right now. I'll move on to what we're doing in Bournemouth, and again, BCP Council, they were awarded some money for a smart place project. And as part of that project, they will be providing public Wi-Fi around the Lansdowne area, and also rolling out their own 5G testbed around that Lansdowne triangle between there and the train station. 5G is quite controversial at times. I think most of us understand it is what it is, and there's no danger. But as part of that project and the concerns around 5G, what BCP Council have done, they put these monitoring stations for signals and strength that you can actually, if you follow that URL at the bottom, you can click on each one, and it'll give you a baseline for the emissions in the area. So people who are dubious of 5G, they can come along with their own monitoring equipment and then compare their readings, and hopefully they will validate that these readings are true. And you can jump on that URL and just have a click around yourself. So once 5G comes along, then people can see how things change. Are the signals stronger, more powerful, just the same? Is there any risk on there? The next thing I want to talk about is, and I put in quotes, the Talbot Digital Village. There's quite a, it can be controversial, especially to the residents around the university. But the Talbot Village Trust, they've had this strategy, this plan in place for a while to build a digital village by the 2 universities. The TVT own the land around the universities, and they want to build, as part of the legacy of the trust, a innovation centre. So hopefully new businesses can start there, collaboration with the universities and other businesses, and just be a hub for innovation and collaboration. So we've been in discussions with Talbot Village Trust as a anchor tenant there. So that's really exciting for us as well. And I'll talk about our infrastructure, which literally is joining the dots, and how data center fits into things we've talked about. So first of all, I'll show you our location. So we have a primary data center in Wool at the Innovation Park. We've also got a secondary place just outside Wimborne that we connect to as well. But we need to build in some redundancy with our connections. So we work with Wessex Internet to connect there, also with Dark Nebulae in Bournemouth as well, and also a pool company called Just Broadband. So that gives us the resilience as a network. And if you look back through COVID and the kind of issues of working from home that people needed to do, and also the government asking for COVID resilience, hopefully this is part of the first steps in building further resilience for Dorset businesses as we move to the future. As we know, we can't rely on hospitality as Dorset Council, as Dorset. We've seen that already. So we need, and the only businesses that kind of continued were the IT companies or the companies that could use IT so people can work from home. So building this infrastructure now and building on that, I think, is so important for the future of Dorset. So there's this new place that I will call the Talbot Digital Exchange, and this is what's inside there. So this is the beginnings of a series of digital exchanges that we want to build across Dorset. In its basic form, it's a hub where high-speed connections can connect, and hopefully the likes of BT, Virgin Media, SSD, and so on can interconnect, and therefore we can all be more self-sufficient and keep our data within Dorset. So digital exchanges are the first step in what's called edge computing, with all the data that can be created with smart vehicles, smart cities, smart places, and so on. All of that data needs to be processed, and the main aim of edge computing is to process that locally, because there will be lots of information coming out from those kind of devices and those kind of services before it then gets maybe uploaded to Amazon or Azure or somewhere else. But it's important to, if you have high volumes of data, is to process that locally and within data centers and digital exchanges like this. This is the first step of doing that. So that's just to show connecting the BCP smart place, and also in turn we'll connect our connections to there and then build up even more resilience, and then we're going to connect that back to the Dorset Innovation Park too. So this is an overview of the kind of connection that we will have in place towards the end of next year. And I just want to touch on this as well. Apologies, this is a really bad slide, but I did a screen grab of a report that Dorset Council put out, and the main thing I want to get across on there is that there are certain parts of Dorset that suffers badly from social deprivation, and within that screenshot it shows that Weymouth and that side of things is needs more help in terms of business growth and connectivity too, and hopefully our data connections will help with that. So if we look at this, our infrastructure is connected to London, but we also want to connect back up to Bristol as well, provide a different connection route, provide more resilience and more redundancy for the area, and in turn we really want to connect high-speed fibre through to Weymouth, and hopefully that can promote and start help with business growth within the area, because digital connectivity, digital deprivation is a major issue in certain areas. So I think that in itself is it's pretty interesting, but at the end of the day, it's just Ethernet connections, a few network switches, and a few servers. So it's not really that interesting. It pays the bills, a few of my bills, but what is going to be really, really interesting is what your businesses and future businesses can actually do to build on that network. So if we just take a look on the left-hand side, the reason why the MOD built or will be building the Innovation Centre and their makerspaces there is actually they want to reach out specifically to the SME market, businesses like yourselves and businesses that haven't even started to build new products, new services together. So and places like back in Bournemouth Council, BCP space, maybe within the smart space, there's opportunities for people within the creative sector to build more apps, more services, tackle issues of healthcare, well-being and so on. So these are the opportunities open to you as businesses, and hopefully they may be of relevance to yourself. But if not, please do share to the people within your networks. It's more important that we actually build on the network that we are building. So I just wanted to share those what we've done, what's happening out there, and hopefully there will be things that you can take advantage of. And last but not least, I just want to really show that Dorset is a brilliant place to live, learn, visit, and start new businesses. Okay, and that's the end of my talk. Probably rushed through that, so hopefully there's some questions for everyone. So I just.
Thank you so much, Gordon. There certainly was plenty in there, and your ability to enthuse about the opportunities for businesses in Dorset is second to none. You know, absolutely fantastic encouragement to businesses. So I had a look in the chat bar. I'm not seeing that questions are coming in there. So if you would like to ask a question, either do pop it in the chat bar, or maybe you'd rather put your hand up, and that would be fine too, and ask a question. Yes, Mark's got a question. Mark, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question? Mark, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself and ask a question? Oh, he's typed it in there. Do you think too many companies go for it alone rather than collaboration? Good question. Yes, you certainly showed how you were collaborating with Wessex Internet and others. Do you think that's still the kind of approach that most businesses take to try and do things on their own?
I think so. I think I've been in business for 20 years now, and I've learned a lot along the way. And I think we can do it ourselves, but working in collaboration can open up new opportunities. And I think it doesn't take a large amount of effort just to reach out to other businesses. I think when we're starting as a new business, yes, we have to be head down, we have to be fighting for business, we have bills to pay, and that's a huge responsibility as a business owner. But later on in life, when you have a steady business, then I think it gives you the opportunity to actually look up and understand more what you want to do as a business. After 20 years, I've reached a point in life where I'm looking towards the next 15 years of my life, towards retirement, and what can I do as a contribution towards where I live in Dorset County as a whole, but also what do I want to leave behind. P&L for me isn't just about profit and loss, it's about purpose and legacy, and that's building this infrastructure. Hopefully it helps new businesses to spring up to life, or collaboration between existing businesses, because I think new businesses and Dorset itself needs to thrive if we are going to tackle the issue of actually there's going to be less people working, more people in pension and retired. How are we going to balance that up? So I think within the last year or so, that's really changed my thinking, and I think we need to do more together, because I think if we don't, then we're going to have issues come 2040 and beyond.
Thank you, Gordon. Mark, do you want to come back and ask anything more after that? Anybody else have any comments that they'd like to add around that collaboration, or experience maybe that you've had of working in collaboration with other businesses and how it's worked for you?
Just a quick question to everybody, really. Were you aware of some of those opportunities? Are they of interest to you, or do you think they'll be of interest to people that the network that you know?
People are popping stuff in the bar. So John Sutcliffe is saying, hi Gordon, great presentation. Have you considered smart connections to Portland Port and Poole Harbour to grow the concept of smart ports?
Not me personally, but I think that should be fed back to the programme directors of the Rural Connected Dorset programme. But I think I know I think in Bristol they had a 5G trial of using modern technology to try and monitor the waterways. You know, having a big stream of water in the middle of Bristol with all the bars and pubs or whatever, they needed, or they wanted to do something to capture if people fell over, and to have, you know, reaction to that very, very quickly. So, you know, using AI, smart technology to say, actually, is it a false positive? Is there really somebody in the water? If it is, can they track their movements? Because actually, by the time people, you know, emergency services come, they may have moved along. So I think, you know, things like that in the water's edge could be very, very important.
Yes, to answer John, I don't know much about the subject at all, but I understand that there are thoughts being given to Portland Port in particular, and what we could do to join up with them. I don't know if anybody who has more knowledge about that wants to pop in now, or we could move on to Colin's question. Colin, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, thanks, Penny. I could probably add a little bit to the Portland Port question as well, which is, excuse me, I'm the program manager for the 5G Rural Dorset project, and we are having conversations with Portland Port, the chief executive there, around whether our project could expand ever so slightly to bring some real benefits to the port and its operations going forward. Portland Port is already part of a Smart Ports initiative, but it's how we could build on what they're already planning to do with the 5G network and connectivity we're going to be putting in over the next year or so, including some coverage in Portland Port to help a shellfish farming company down there. So that's the Portland Port one. My question really was around education, and I was reading yesterday some objections to a 5G mast, not as part of our project, just a commercial proposal from a Weymouth head teacher, and much of the content seemed to be cut and paste from an anti-5G website that I'm aware of. I just wonder what we as a community need to do here in Dorset to explain better the potential benefits for particularly rural and deprived areas of what 5G and technology in general could bring for our children, our economy, our elderly people, as Gordon's pointed out. Is there something more we should be doing to communicate better why we're doing the kinds of things we're doing and the potential benefits, and also to reassure people, because if people have concerns, they need to be acknowledged and they need to be addressed, and I'm not sure what else we can do over and above what we already are. So I'm open to thoughts.
Yes, thanks, Colin. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Those of us who've had a background in communications feel like we're doing lots and lots of communications, and it's frustrating when they're not hitting their mark. So building stakeholder relationships, I know, is key to the 5G programme. But if anybody has any further comments on that, that would be really good. That would be nice to hear.
You could make use of the BCP monitoring stations that they've got now, just to show, people can maybe look at the effects of before and after installation of 5G, just to show that actually there's very little or absolutely no change in, because I think people are scared of 5G because I think it's just like microwave and you're going to get cooked, as microwaves do, and the power of it, etc. But I think with 5G, having more and more smaller antennae, means it's even less power than currently with 4G. So I think, showing people what's reality, and maybe showing them the equipment, showing them, maybe it's bringing some monitoring equipment to show actually that this is not, what you think it is. Maybe that might help once BCP are underway with their smart place.
Thank you, Gordon. That's a good suggestion.
And Mo has come back with a bit more information about the ports. So Dorset and BCP are engaged in a larger smart port initiative, I believe. Yes, I think that's correct. Thank you for that. Any other questions for Gordon? or comments or anything on anything that you've heard today, pop it in the chat bar, raise your hand, unmute yourself and just speak. That's fine too. No. So it looks like you've answered everybody's questions, Gordon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please do pop what you think of today's session into the chat bar. People are doing that as I'm speaking. That's fantastic. Also, don't forget to tweet using the hashtag FutureFest so we can retweet and spread the word further. Do get in touch with the programme if you're interested in the 5G programme and have things that you would like to contribute. Please do get in touch. You can catch them on social media as well, or via the Digital Dorset area. Oh, look, Mark Masters, my hero. Fantastic. Well done. You've got a fan there. You've got a fan. Do you know this guy?
Yeah, I'll have a tenner for later.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, he's certainly earned it today. That's great. Thank you so much for attending. Don't forget there are a few more sessions until the end of the day. So if you've enjoyed this one, have a look back at the schedule on Digital Leaders and do join us later on today. But otherwise, then that's it from Gordon and me. Thank you very much for attending, and see you at another session sometime.